Pull him on.
I don't. I think he's dead.
Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
What's up, Uncle Pucker Nation? We are the Uncle Puckers, Tony, Dan, and Chris this evening. Just finished watching the Devils defeat the Chicago Blackhawks. What was that final? It was 4-1, right?
4-2.
4-2, rather. I'm still, after, 10 minutes of watching this game, still trying to figure out, making heads or tails of this game. This game was nuts, and I'm real curious to hear what you guys think. And I'm going to start with you, Tone, because you have been clamoring for physicality. We have been talking many times how when teams get physical with us, we fall apart. Tonight, that kind of flipped the script a little bit, and for the first time, I'll just say before I let you go, I absolutely. Brendan Smith was the friggin' catalyst of everything good that happened on this team tonight. But I'm real curious of your opinion on this game, because we hadn't seen a game like this from the Devils in at least this version of the Devils ever. It was crazy.
Smith may have been one of the most important guys on the ice tonight in a lot of ways.
No
he changed
doubt.
that game right away. I wasn't on the last show, but last game I thought he was a factor in it. He's becoming. He's the guy that you go to criticize everybody right now. I know because he makes some bad mistakes, but he's become a big part of this team in the last few weeks, and he has changed. Now, we definitely still need to bring someone else in too, but he's definitely changed the environment on the ice a little bit. And tonight, like I said, he changed the game in the first 3 minutes, changed the atmosphere of the game. It became old school right away. Just now, of course, there's the downside of the game, which what the hell – tomorrow morning, what are we going to hear on all these press releases? We had some guys banged up tonight, What was up with Jack?
Jack looked like a knee. And I don't know if this is going to be something serious, but it looked like if looking at NFL games and stuff, like it did look like he twisted, and that could be a tear or something. And I really hope not, because it did look like it was a lot worse. When you saw it in slow motion, it looked a lot worse than when it happened in real time. And I was just like, he just fell. What happened here? And then when they slowed it down, you saw that, I think it was his right knee just tweak a little bit, and his grimace on his face was immediate. So,
yeah, you knew.
Man, we cannot afford to be losing Jack Hughes.
But I have a question for you. Has Mike McLeod become a star this week? Like, have we just seen this guy start becoming I
think it started in the Rangers series last year. And he kind of has taken over. I will say this, I refuse to, and I absolutely hate this Motor Mike nickname that they're really trying hard to stick with him. It's the worst nickname ever, man. He's too good to have a shit nickname like that. Just call him his name then.
We should come up with a name and petition, try to put it out there, I don't know. There's definitely a better name than that,
Dan, what do you got for Mike McLeod?
Motor Mike, it's the best name ever. That's a horrible name. That's a horrible name. I don't like that name at all. I don't. Who started this? Who started Motor
Bryce.
Mike? Really? Come on,
yes.
Bryce.
It was Bryce Salvador. And he was trying to get it to stick, and it looks like it kind of did.
I don't like that.
I heard it was terrible.
Tonight it was flowing.
It was terrible. It's a terrible nickname. But Dan, what's your opinion on this game? What's your take?
Oh, this was a great game for them. Look, their points were huge. That definitely is a thing. But the way they won was great. You guys touched on it. They had the grit. They had the fight. You could tell that Chicago came in to play hard, and that is the book on the Devils: play hard. And today, maybe for the first time, at least to this level, they stood up to that and gave it back. And there you see what everybody's been wanting this whole time. If you answer grit with grit, you get good results because of the talent you have. You don't have to avoid playing gritty because you're a talented team. That's not going to get you where you need to go. Tonight, they displayed the talent, and they displayed, more importantly, the grit to give them the room to do the things they did. And that was fantastic. Got solid goaltending, which is huge because, let's face it, the game was always very close, and that's a credit to Vanecek keeping it close, even though Chicago was playing well and had the lead not once but twice. But, once the Devils got the lead, I think every Devils fan was like, okay, Vanecek, it's in some ways up to you now. Now, the team played great defense in front of him, which is a huge part of the story if your goaltender is going to be successful. So it is, he never deserves all the blame, and he doesn't deserve all the credit. But he did his job tonight, and that was good. That was huge, and it shows like what this team can do. What I hope they take from this is that this is a new way for them to win when they need to win games like this, which is going to become more and more frequently. That's how playoff games are going to feel. They're going to come at you. The book on you this year is not going to change. Give the Devils some, lean on them and see what happens. Well, you're rewriting the script on that now. So it was a great game, great win. I liked the production really from everybody. All around fantastic.
One of the funnest games I've watched in a long time because it was a completely I love the run and gun. I love 5-6 goals, and you kind of forget these throwback games where one period takes an hour to get through because it's just so many stoppages, so many fights.
Yeah.
Brendan Smith,
how wild was that second period?
It was insane. It was.
Did you guys
insane.
forget about Brett Seney? I totally forgot about that guy. You remember
he played for us?
Utica? Yeah, I remember he played for us, and I totally forgot about him. I know he was with Utica, but tonight I was watching. He was involved a lot tonight too. Actually,
all right, I'll take him off my devil. Tomorrow. Then we're not going to do Brett Seney, but I'll tell you the hit on Bedard. That's Brendan Smith. I mean, that was the beginning. That was the catalyst of all the physicality and all the. Chicago, but what a beautiful hit. And, I watched that Ranger Blackhawk game, and look, Connor Bedard is no doubt a generational talent. He's amazing. But did you guys watch any of that Ranger Blackhawk game last night?
Just a couple highlights is what I saw.
So on the first goal, I think the first Ranger goal, he had the puck and Trouba just pushed him, literally pushed him right onto his ass and took the puck away and scored a goal. It was Panarin's goal from Lafreniere. But I'm watching it, and I've watched
muscled off the puck.
Yeah, and I'm watching. I've seen this happen a lot with Connor Bedard, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, man, somebody's going to really hurt this kid if he doesn't start skating with his head up and start paying attention a little bit more to things around him. This is the NHL, and tonight it happened. If you would have told me what team you think is going to take out or lay a clean, beautiful hit on Bedard and take him out, I think out of the 32 teams, my 32nd pick would have been the Devils. But man, right. Brendan Smith came to play tonight, answered the bell, got into the fights. Kevin Ball was hitting. Fucking Jack Hughes was hitting.
And I thought that Smith, his play brought that on. I don't think you see both Ball and Hughes playing with that physicality as well as the rest of the team, but those two other hits really stood out. Unless Smith really does his job there and elevates it. And, what a huge hit that was. Biggest hit for the Devils season.
What's nice about Smith too is he's kind of he's filling in the spots that are needed. He's keeping his word. He's finding what needs to be done and he's doing it. And actually, a player who reminds me of that was Jim Dowd. Did that through his career. He eventually adjusted his career. Adjusted his play to fit what the Devils need, and he's really done that. Because, like I said, now you just feel a little different, and the whole team sparked from it. Because tonight it was just a feisty fucking game. The whole team was ready to go, and the Blackhawks played a good game too. I mean, I give them
no doubt.
Yeah, they played a really good game.
I know. It gave me a window into Smith in the playoffs. I think back to last year, and we were all very disappointed. Really had enough of Damon Severson. Come playoff time, he actually turned his game around.
Yeah,
and I actually enjoyed his playoffs. I thought he added a lot to the team, which I never would have guessed that was the case because he was kind of like the guy taking the bad penalty all year, and worse. And Smith has been kind of, let's face it, been on the whipping boy in the same way this year for Devils fans. But to see him play this way tonight, it gives me a premonition that if he does this in the playoffs, he can really have a huge impact. In some ways, it's really important to have a defenseman who's willing to, throw hits, be as gritty as necessary. if he could just avoid taking those penalties that shoot us in the foot, he could be a hell of a asset to this team.
So much of what you just said, I do want to touch on. I don't even know if Brendan Smith got any playoff time last season. I think he was healthy scratch for every game.
I think you're right.
So we didn't see it last year, but if he can play this way, where he's not taking penalties, he's really good on the penalty kill and bringing that physicality, I say, you got to keep this dude in the lineup every single night. And then what you said before, how Brendan Smith's play brought the physicality and the physical play out of the other guys like Ball and the dudes like that. And this is something that we were saying that we needed to go and get. Remember, we were talking.
Yes.
What's going to happen when if you brought a guy like Chris Tanavan, who's a big, heavy hitter, how does that help Kevin Ball's game? Who's showing him, how to, we talked about Colin White and his first couple of years, and then being with Danico and playing with Stevens. And then he brought that physicality to it. Just through osmosis and watching these veterans play that way, you kind of take how they play. And I think that there has not been enough of that this year from the Devils, and especially from Brendan Smith. We saw little bits and pieces, but this game was the best game he's had as a New Jersey Devil.
He didn't get sidetracked.
Nope.
He's had some grit in other games, but then, nobody's going to follow him if he follows up the gritty play with taking a stupid penalty. Because they realize that his play is shooting us in the foot. And so you kind of want to just throw out his whole style of play. At least mentally, the other players don't buy into that. But when he's doing it and walking the line, adding the grit with passion, but not taking the penalties, it's infectious, right? And that's an exciting thing.
I'm really hoping, though, like you said, Tone, that Jack maybe just, twisted the knee a little, had to go, maybe they said, hey, there's 3 minutes left. We have the lead. Go in the back. We don't need you right now. I'm hoping that that's the case.
Think of the names right now. Meyer, it could be used. Palat. It's starting to get it's pretty a little devastating right now.
Right. You're not noticing because people like Mercer and McLeod have been on fire.
And that's what I was just going to say.
He's just never stopping. And it's been great.
If Jack, worst case scenario, is out for any kind of time, it's going to be really difficult without him, but it gives other dudes opportunities. And then you'll see Graham Clark will actually get a really good look at him. I'm sure that they would bring him, put him in the lineup if something happened to Hughes. And the guys have to step up. We've been doing it these last two games. Hughes hasn't scored. Jack hasn't scored. He's got a couple points, but, not the Jack Hughes, where he just goes and takes games over. And this is what we want. You need balanced scoring and you need depth scoring, and we're getting it. Our second and third lines are amazing right now.
Yeah. If you get this team to a point where scouting and opponents start going, okay, Jack Hughes is going to do some stuff here and there, but we really got to watch these guys because they're super hot right now. Think of the pressure that takes off of Hughes, you know? And it gives him room to come through with some of the biggest goals maybe of the season in the playoffs, should they go that far. So, this is kind of what we want, more contribution from everyone. There's a time this season where Mercer was invisible, and he's everywhere now. He looks great. Toffoli's been strong really throughout, and no signs of him slowing, which is fantastic. Guys like Chris Tierney playing better.
Played really good tonight.
I loved his game tonight, definitely.
I was hoping he was going to get the empty netter. I was really hoping that he would be the one to net it. Tony, you were going to say something?
I was kind of hoping, I would actually like to see Graham Clark in a few games because now that we may have some injuries going out through the rest, this season, you just don't know what's going to happen. It would be good for him to get his feet in now. Because now the play is starting to step up. Tonight's game was an intense game. It
felt like a playoff game.
That second period was it was just a fun period. Obviously that goal, Vanacek would want that back a million times.
That second goal was terrible.
Yeah, he would want that back a million times, but it was a fun game. And, man, I'm hoping they put it in. Tomorrow we got Vancouver. It'd be great to carry that shit over.
Absolutely. V came up big in the third period. And, with a couple of minutes left with the goal he pulled, Soderblom pulled, I was really nervous. V, like you said, Dan, it was all on V's shoulders at that time. And he did what he needed to do.
Soderblom played well, too.
Year, but
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Soderblom played fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think a lesser goalie. We have 6 or 7 tonight. He made some outstanding saves. I thought it was a really well played game from both teams, and you take that second period, and it was like that was just craziness. Like I don't know when we're going to see that again from this team, but the third period, like they did against Washington, they took the game over. In Washington, they had the lead, and they just basically, sat back. They took chances when they had to, but they played good defense. This time they had to go get the lead, and then they just kept their foot on the gas. It was just a fantastic third period.
I didn't see the
was
Stars
glad-
tonight, but I would have gave Smith one tonight. for
Well,
sure.
I'll tell you who they were.
Smith throw down too because he knew he hit Bedard. He took responsibility, fought.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he took responsibility. He
was
told I
totally-
forget who he fought, but who the hell was it?
Lino.
Yeah, Foligno. And he told Foligno, like, look, man, it was all shoulder. It was a clean hit, dude. But you want to go? We'll go.
Just be glad it wasn't Scott Stevens.
You got to respect that. Oh, Scott Stevens, yeah, they'd be taking him out in a
The
stretcher.
Bedard story would be over.
Yep. But what the hell was I just gonna say? Oh, the stars. Motor Mike got the third star.
Motorboat.
No, see, now you're going along with it.
Yeah, no.
We should call him Motorboat Mike.
Motorboat
Motorboat
Mike.
Mike. I'll take that. Yeah.
I think the second
know.
star was I don't remember, but Shimon Nemec was number one.
He was awesome
and
tonight.
what a game from the
He was
kid,
fantastic.
man. He
Give
played.
and go play with Holtz, amazing.
Yeah,
This guy
oh my
may never go
god!
down again to the minor leagues.
No,
I don't think he will.
No.
I don't.
waste that would
There's
be.
no way in hell you
Why
bring it.
would
You
you?
can
Yeah.
send him back down.
Nope.
You send Siegenthaler down there before you send Nemec.
It's funny because Siegenthaler has been number 2 defenseman like on the block for most fans this year behind Smith, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's number 1 if Smith can get his game together because he adds so much that Siegenthaler does not add. In the toughness and everything else, and he's also playing a bunch of utility stuff, playing forward when he can. But Siegenthaler really has yet to consistently be like, wow, this defenseman's really adding a lot. And
Right.
Marino, he's coming around, but boy, is it slower than I thought. I mean, I feel like his game's elevated from where the abysmal place it was early in the season. But do you feel like it's where it should be?
No, I don't feel like it's where it should be, but I do think he had a very good game tonight, and especially that
solid.
Johnny on the spot play when that puck was behind V on the goal line, and he was there to swipe it away, which
Very
was
good
a
point.
huge play. But I thought he played good tonight. He took some offensive opportunities and pushed the puck up when it was there, but for the most part he stayed back a couple of times. Really, just standing up to guys. On the blue line, he was strong around the net. I thought he played a very good game. I think this was such an important game, and not just points or whatever, an important style of game for the Devils to play because they we've said it a bunch, right? Teams get physical with them and they kind of fall apart.
They've lost this game. They've lost this game over and
would've
over
lost
this year.
this
They
game.
probably had about maybe 15 games that were very similar to this game that
Yep.
they've lost this season. At least 10. And where you're like, guys, the book is out on you. Why are you losing these games like this? And today they stopped it. They turned it around. So it was huge.
What a fun game. And quick look ahead to Vancouver. It's going to be a shame if Jack isn't out there for that game
Yeah.
with Quinn and
Wow,
Luke.
yeah.
I really hope that this
What
is
do you
not
guys
serious.
think? I kind of feel like we're not going to see him tomorrow. I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
I agree.
I'll be hopeful until I hear otherwise. I totally get it because it's one of those things when you first see him go down, he's kind of on his own. The collision was minor, and he just goes into a little bit of a turn, and right away you see him take the weight off it, which is why the right
That's
skate
what
kind of
worries me.
wobbles.
Yep.
And he knew not to put weight on that immediately. Wobble, and he just he goes down. You see the pain on it, and so something there hurt him, but it could be a very light sprain. To a point where it feels great tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. I think to be honest, if it's some kind of sprain of a knee, they're probably going to rest him a little bit, give it another day or two.
Well,
even if it
considering you
feels
don't
good.
play again until Thursday,
Right.
maybe you sit it out and then you got yourself 5 full days.
That's
to
what I'm
rest.
kind of thinking, but unless he it was something else. Sometimes you find out what you think is an injury is something much smaller than that. Like I was trying to look at it, like is there an equipment problem maybe? But I didn't see that. I saw something much like what you guys said. Maybe a knee, maybe the right knee. That's what my best guess is. We're just guessing. We got no information on this, and I would not be at all surprised if he's out the next game, but we'll see.
Some of these injuries, like I think with Meyer and Palau, we're not going to see them for a while. It sounds like it seems like these guys don't make any plans with these dudes for a while, So it's going to be kind of interesting how we adjust with this.
It's a shame because those are two guys that I think would have completely thrived in that second period in a game like tonight. I mean, Palat and Meyer, and when shit broke down, like those are the two of our guys that we need, and I think they would have been impactful had they been on the ice. But a couple
times I thought about Meyer. I was like, we need him in the second period, especially that second period. That was
I mean, kudos to everybody who was there, who responded and filled that role. Because you're right, that's what I was thinking too. This game needs players like that, and they're not going to be at our disposal. So maybe the team around them will, and hopefully, if you want to look at the glass half full here, they'll learn to play in a way that maybe they used to rely on guys and like, okay, well, that's his job. He's going to do that. And now they're thinking, no, it's my job. I'm going to do that, So we'll see.
Hey, look, get yourself into a playoff position, get yourself firmly in there, let your guys heal up, the second half of the season, maybe we have a full, complete team and, we can really make a push because those guys are important, especially Jack. I really hope it's nothing serious. Before we go on to anything else, we're just going to do a little shout out to our DraftKings Sportsbook partner over here at the Hockey Podcast Network with a brand new 2024 script, boys.
Oh, this is exciting.
You're the first to hear it. This is the first time I'm even looking at it.
Wow.
We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Why don't they just say that all the time? Because it's every week, right?
Yeah.
Mention available lines and odds from the DraftKings Sportsbook app for this week's games. Please do not provide betting advice or how audiences should wager. I said earlier that you need to bet as much as you can on Vancouver tomorrow night. I don't even know what the line is, but just bet them.
Do it.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours.
The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved.
If I ever find out the last half of that ad is not even written there, you've just done that to all of us on purpose. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Don't ever look at it.
Wouldn't that be amazing? That it would be like
it would be amazing,
like a all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy moment. If we look over that copy, and it doesn't have the last half of it,
it's actually a blank page. I just did that all.
Tourette's, he's just firing it out.
That's more autism than Tourette's, but definitely. But real quick, you guys watched USA claiming the gold today in the World Juniors.
Big comeback.
Give it up for Team USA with a big third period to beat host Sweden. I was really kind of convinced that Jesper Bratt would have a big game tonight because he'd be all pissed off that Sweden lost, But
that would have motivated him.
I thought so, right?
About that.
But what a game. I mean, what a friggin' game that was. Those kids what a team the USA put out on the ice, man.
Too. Some great videos from that.
Next year, it's in Ottawa, and then in the year after, it's in St. Paul, Minnesota. I would love to go to a World Junior game. That would be so much fun. And the Czech Republic, how about that game? Did you guys see that bronze medal game?
Did not.
They were down, and they scored 5 third period goals over Finland, and I think 3 of them were in the 30 seconds. And they came in the score. They were down, I think, 5-4, and they ended up winning 8-5, like
But
in the third.
DraftKings didn't have that.
No, DraftKings, I don't think had that. I didn't look,
Yeah.
but I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
I was watching, like I said, the Ranger game last night, and they said that the Rangers game that they played, I think the game prior to the Blackhawk game was a loss. And they were saying that they only have 1 2-game losing streak all year. They're having a great season, and they're a really, really good hockey team. And I was thinking about this, and this is a question. It's not quantifiable at all. It's more just opinion based. But would it worry you if your team goes into the playoffs without facing any type of adversity throughout the regular season? I.e. Boston last year.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
finally, when they have a little bit of adversity, they don't really know how to react and how to come back from that, because for 82 games plus, things have just gone swimmingly. And I kind of see the Rangers on that path. Do you prefer kind of having your peaks and valleys throughout the season, working through them and really kind of making yourself more of a complete team? Or do you think it's all bullshit and good teams can just roll anybody? Just curious.
Well, I think, I would say that, like, part of me, of course, wants to say you want to know how to get out of a slide before it gets to be too bad. That matters in the playoffs. Going through adversity, sure. But look, it's easy to make a lot of this, like what happened to Boston and what potentially could happen to the Rangers. But I think sometimes we attribute a reason that's not necessarily there because you can't prove that it's not the reason. So, for instance, what is worse than having a multi-game losing streak and not learning from it? That's a bad team. What a better team is a team that learns from a multi-game losing streak. And you could argue that a team that faces adversity and doesn't lose, finds ways to win on the fly, is maybe even better prepared for the playoffs. So not to, be Rangers advocate here when I'd rather be the Devils advocate. I don't mind my team not being able to go into a skid, because that's a skill that's kind of important in the playoffs, right?
That's a good point.
It's hard to really knock them for that. I get your point, though. There is something that I think sits in the back of your psyche when things been going good. I think every person, even outside of sports, says, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Things have been going too good for me. It's a little negativity that can creep in that's kind of, oddly out of the positivity. It comes out because of the positivity, which is a weird human nature characteristic. So you can't take that off the table. So it's very possible that, yes, it could blow up in their face. I don't know, though.
How about you, Tom? What do you think?
I have no problem with the consistency. Personally, I like a nice little losing streak during the regular season, so you kind of get that little bit of, you know how to bounce back. I think the Rangers, though, personally, they're pretty set right now. I think the biggest problem they have, which is crazy to say, is Shesterkin's been a little shaky, but
human.
Yeah, he's been human. So, but I don't know. Like what happened with Boston last year, they were dominant, but like we always talk about, I think what happened with Boston is they made so many changes. There was just too much going on. There was I don't think it had anything to do. I think that was the biggest factor on that team, is you had too many chefs in the kitchen or whatever they say.
People always talk about, and I don't believe in curses, and I'm not a superstitious person, but the President's Trophy, curse, right?
Right.
And I believe that some of that is when you are a team that good, when you go into a playoff, and especially in the NHL, and you haven't dealt with teams kind of punching you back over the course of a 7-game series, one team, I do think that can kind of get you off your game. You go back to that first round series, Florida was, gets into the playoffs in the 8th seed, right? They're playing basically playoff hockey the whole last 2 months of the season. Like they were, they had been through it all already. So there was nothing new to them, also being the complete underdogs, where I feel like, yes, Boston did make a lot of changes. And when you mess with their, they didn't do as much as Toronto. They did add a couple of guys that I don't think they needed. When you're playing the way they were playing last year. And I think the Rangers, as far as they go with this, I do think they're veteran laden team. They're not going to probably fall into that category. And who knows? We still have half a season. I mean, right now, looking at the standings, we have completely leapfrogged now Flyers, even though we're tied in points, that we have a game in hand on them and 2 more wins. We are solidly in 4th place right now, right behind the Islanders for the 3rd spot in the Metro. The Islanders have 46 points. We're at 44. They have a game in hand. And we also have 3 more wins than the Islanders. So, come tomorrow, I don't know who the Islanders are playing. And we might be in the 3rd. And then we're only 4 points behind the Hurricanes, who are only 5 points behind the Rangers. And Carolina is playing fantastic right now. So the Rangers are going to be dealing with adversity at some point.
The Hurricanes goaltending has really been good for them the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they have been playing better. They whooped up on Washington today, 6-2, and so they're definitely on fire. And then tomorrow, teams we got to watch out for is Calgary and Flyers. That game, so we got to watch out for the Flyers there. See what they do. Who else is playing tomorrow? That's ahead of us. The Islanders playing. We have Vancouver. I don't see the Islanders. Oh, they're playing the Golden Knights tomorrow. So Islanders are playing Vegas. So we need to beat Vancouver and Golden Knights to get off of their, what are they, on like a 6-game losing streak? They're not playing so hot.
They're due.
Yeah, hopefully. Now, Bob and I were talking on the last show about trades, possible trades, especially goalie trades. I don't know, man. Calgary right now, like they're right there. They're like 2 or 3 points away from a playoff spot. I don't know how much they're going to be dealing guys out, but
I don't think they're going to. They're playing well.
Yeah, but the thing is this, as a general manager, you have to be smart. Even though you think you can make the playoffs, you have to look at your roster and say, we have, let's say, 3 or 4 expiring contracts. These guys are going to walk after this year if we don't re-sign them. Are we going to win the Stanley Cup with the team we have right now? No, you're not. Calgary's not. And we might not even make the playoffs. So I think you do tend to say, okay, well, if we can build assets and then build this team and kind of do a little retool on the fly here, we might be better off for it. Kind of like how Winnipeg did it. Winnipeg got so much better by getting rid of Blake Wheeler and who's the guy they shipped off to friggin' Pierre-Luc Dubois, and they ended up getting a lot better because of the assets that they brought in. So, but anyway, not to just talk about Calgary, but the 3 goalies that are being kind of mentioned, and there's a 4th now with the San Jose kid. What's his name? Kokkonen or something? The guy that plays with Blackwood. Him, Jake Allen, of course, in Anaheim, which I think the ask for him is going to be way too great. And he has a big contract. Jacob Markstrom over in Calgary, who has 3 years left on his deal. So you're getting him for some term. Or Jake Allen over in Montreal, which you could probably get a prospect and a 2nd-round pick. You could probably pull him away. Old-ass Jake Allen. Out of those guys, who would you like to see?
I like Markstrom.
I guess out of them, Markstrom, yeah.
Me too.
I mean, I think that is the best one of the bunch, but I don't know about you. Do you feel like, yay, this is it. This is the one I wanted.
Oh, Markstrom, yes. I would be over the moon with Jacob Markstrom.
He's the one I don't think Calgary will get rid of for some reason. I think he's the one that especially if they even if they want to have a chance with the playoffs, I think they have to keep him.
They had 3 goalies, and they have 3 goalies, and Markstrom is kind of the odd man out. He's they pay him a lot. He's older as far as the other 2 guys go, and the other 2 guys have played pretty well, especially in his absence when he was hurt, when he broke his finger. So I disagree. I think they will deal Jacob Markstrom. I think they'll deal Markstrom. I think they'll deal Hanifin, and I think they'll deal Tanev at some point this season. I do think those 3 guys aren't going to be there because chances are they're walking at the end of the year anyway. So you got to get something for them. The only way you maybe retain guys that have expiring contracts is if you legitimately feel we can win the Stanley Cup this year. It doesn't matter what happens. We have a legit shot. Calgary doesn't.
Markstrom has 3 years, you said, left?
3, yeah. And I think Markstrom Dawes, I really like that. I really like that combo. Jacob Markstrom, I think, would change this team, from Jump Street. I really do. That's just my opinion.
We have won 5 out of 6, so I mean, it's like I said, it's the injury shit's what's bugging me because we're starting to, we're winning blocks of games now. We've done that for the last 2 months now. I know we've been disappointed with some of the losses. That's expected, but they have been winning blocks of games, so it just sucks to see some of these guys go out now.
I mean, 5 or 6 is great, but you're right. You worry that injuries piling up, it's going to be
how many can you deal with?
That percentage going.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll see what happens with the injuries. Hopefully, we get some good news on that front for sure.
I'm trying to keep. Go ahead, Dan.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you're right about the selection of Markstrom would definitely help our team. I totally get it. I don't know. I understand the rationale that you're proposing and why Calgary wants to get rid of him, but I also don't know. I mean, I look at like where we're at with our goaltending. And if we had a goaltender on Markstrom's level and it was 3 years ago and we had 3 years, left on his contract, we're not having a good year, would we get rid of him? I don't know. That's a tough call because he's a better goaltender than we've had in our organization really for a very long time.
But they have guys that are really good behind him. That's my point. Like they're comfortable with it. Yeah, they feel like they can win games with the 2 guys they have, not named Jacob Markstrom.
You're right, and it's going to free up some space for them. I totally get it, and it's a move they can make. I'm not saying I disagree. I just I don't know if we could be that lucky. If we could, I'd be happy to get him. But I honestly don't think like he was a guy who was on my radar. This is the guy we want, and that's the only thing. I would take him in a heartbeat because it's going to be an improvement, definitely.
And he's got playoff experience.
Yep.
I like Jacob Markstrom. I've been talking him up for, over a year now. I really thought Calgary was going to be in a much better position than they are right now because of him coming back healthy. I thought he would have a bounce back year, and he has.
But they had a shit start though, Calgary, right? If I remember correctly, they had a really rough start to the season.
Yeah, I think they've won 3 in a row now, and they're only a couple of points out of a playoff spot. But like I said, if you as a GM, you have to legitimately look at your team and say, "Are we winning the cup this year?" If the answer is no, then I guess everything is on the table. And you got to get something for it. They went through it with Gaudreau and Tkachuk, and I don't think they're ever going to do that again, where they let these 2 guys walk and they get nothing back for them.
Right. That hopefully will work out for the Devils. If it does, I think you're right that Vanecek's got to be the one to go.
Oh yeah.
I don't see the point in carrying him because the whole reason you would go from a Markstrom is you just don't feel comfortable going into playoffs with Vanecek as your senior goaltender. So at that point, you're really relying on Markstrom to play the majority of games. You want him to be your playoff goaltender to the point where Dawes is just fine. And to some extent, maybe a rehabbed Schmid is just fine to be the number 2 on a goaltender you're planning on riding through the playoffs.
I agree. Because if the playoffs started tomorrow, I would want Dawes in. I do not trust Vitek Vanecek at all.
Can I make a bold prediction?
Yeah, of course.
So.
We will not
this is a
see
safe
Schmid
space
again this year.
Oh, I agree. I don't think that's very bold.
I don't think we'll see him again this year, but unless some big injury happens, or
things blow up with Dawes. But I don't see that. Dawes looks pretty solid for a goaltender coming back. Really, it is. I guess he didn't get a rookie year out of that year, did he? Did they count that?
No, maybe he
got a point
did
the other night though, right? That was his first.
Yeah, he did.
Point.
A secondary point, a secondary assist, and the thing is with. Like Dawes, like you see the growth, right? You see the development. You see where he is now. He doesn't look too big. Like the moment doesn't look too big for him. And the thing you can clearly tell just with him starting that Washington game, because you knew whoever was starting that Washington game was getting 2 starts this week, that they have no faith in Vitek Vanecek. If they could have played Dawes tonight, I think they would have. But, you don't play back-to-backs. But Markstrom, a guy like that who can handle a bigger workload, and then Dawes can play, the back-to-backs, the odd start, really kind of ease him into the NHL caliber. I don't want to go into the playoffs with Nico Dawes as our number one goalie. I really don't. And he might do fantastic, but
He might, but nobody can know that right now.
right. That's my point. And the unknown is just there's too much good with this team and this roster right now to have a huge question mark in net. That's how I feel.
Absolutely, I think so. This team kind of needs a steadier goaltender. It kind of deserves it. It's kind of a waste not to have it.
And that's a good way of putting it. Like, I do think like Tom Fitzgerald would be doing a huge disservice to this roster if he doesn't make a move. They do deserve it. They've with all the injuries and all the bullshit that they're dealing with, like, they're still there, right? Like, I mean, we have been injury plagued throughout. We are in a playoff spot right now.
His priority move now. I think when you look back, he did totally upgrade the situation on paper at that time to get Vanacek. I think it went fairly well last year up until the playoffs, but I think now we see a problem with that move that, frankly, I don't think everybody saw coming. So whatever. And now you need to shift gears. And I think he did go and say, I want to improve the goaltending, got Vanacek. That didn't work out. I think his next move is going to be to, improve the goaltending. And I think he knows that. I think he knows he's got so many great pieces here, and he's going to be entering very soon. If this year is the last year, I think that you can really say, young team, let's just plan for next year. I don't think you could say that next year. I think next year you got to be like, guys, the time is now. We got all these guys getting into their prime. I don't want to hear about learning anymore. I don't want to hear about gelling as a team. This year is maybe the last year that fans and I think, anybody observing from reality is going to accept that, because now you got, 3-4 years of these guys together with a good goaltender. Really, we got to produce. We got to produce.
We've been saying we always say, and I think his job now, we all love Fitzgerald. His job now, though, is to give us two pieces. We need a goalie and we need a piece of muscle on the team. And I think we have scoring. We have if our guys are going to be healthy, we'll have one of the best teams. I mean, but without that, the playoffs, you might as well just,
and I think you can get them. I think you can get both those pieces from Calgary. I really do. And we have a relationship with them. We got Toffoli. But yes, I agree with you, Dan, 100% that this is the last year that I think there could be quote unquote excuses for not making a deep push. But I will have to say this: if he goes out and gets a goalie, a serviceable goalie like a Markstrom or even a Jake Allen, I think he's been playing well. I know he's up there in age, but he has been playing well and he's got tons of experience. Those two guys I would be okay with, but much more so Jacob Markstrom. And you get a Noah Hannafin or a Chris Tanev or somebody else that's on, that we don't even know about right now. You make those moves and these guys get healthy, it could be this year. I can see this team with those pieces making a Stanley Cup run. I really could.
Yep, with those absolutely. Pieces, yes, the key word.
Yeah. Not as is. Not as is. We bounced in the first round.
Yeah,
it sure looks like it.
It's obvious.
Yeah, but it is amazing how close we are to having the team we want in the future now, and it is just a couple moves. It's just a couple things to go right, and this team may be gelling the way they've been trending, which is good. With more people contributing, the health has got to concern you, because the one thing the team has not shown this year is like health resilience. It's been the most unhealthy year the Devils have had in a long time.
Maybe we'll find 100%. Another core piece during this little like this next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll have a guy come up and just, make it hard to send him back down, and then have another tool,
Maybe. I was wondering if
during this tough time of injuries.
Do you think that maybe, am I wrong in saying this is the most injured year the Devils have had in a while?
I can't remember them other than 2 years ago, but that was just in the goalie position. This has just been everybody.
Right. Overall, injuries across the board with players have been worse ever. Do you think that there's nothing in this other than coincidence, or do you think that there's something about the way they've been playing? Is it that, like we've been saying, teams know the way to beat the Devils is you have to play physical against them, which means that you're maybe taking more physical abuse as a team than another NHL team or yourself in another year. Basically, you look like an easy target. The bully's going to go after you.
I definitely think
the playbook is to bully the Devils, and that results in these injuries we're seeing. Is there a connection there?
I think that
Definitely.
there is a connection there with some of the guys. I mean, some of the injuries were just kind of weird, like the Meyer injury. I still don't even know what happened. Like, he didn't even look like, but it does lend credence to the fact that, they're the blueprint's out. You play physical with us. Now, maybe that blueprint changes after tonight. Maybe, okay, look, you play physical with us, you're going to have to answer the bell. And there are going to be guys that are going to kind of, scrape back, fight back a little bit. And that was evident tonight. But yeah, I think so. I absolutely
Seems like
think
Hughes
so.
and Nico always wear that target.
Well, you look at Nico Hischier, exactly. Like, he has taken so many, especially early on in the year. And that when we dodged a bullet with him today, because that hit late, that I didn't even see it. It was so far away from the play. But,
it was a little late too, but I knew they were going to do it. You just kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah, and I think, I knew it was coming too. I was really hoping it wasn't going to be on Jack, but Jack can stand up for himself for the most part. But, Nico came back. Let's just look. Jack has to come back. I mean, that's it. Like this, I'm just praying this isn't like a fucking ACL and he's out for the year. That's like the one thing that would really put, a big, at least the start of some nails in our coffin, if that's the case.
You check X and see if there's any kind of report.
Yeah, check it out. See if there's anything out there on him.
Jack's ACL says, I'm okay, guys.
Well, Lindy is not going to give you any information, that's for sure. We still don't even know any timetables on Palat and Meyer.
So somewhere on the body injury.
Yeah, exactly. They
see
give
if
you
Jack's
nothing.
ACL has its own Twitter page.
If not, we should start one.
It sounds like a line from Fight Club, but I don't know.
Jack's ACL.
I am Jack's torn ACL.
Oh, don't even say. I don't even. That just made me nauseous. You said torn ACL and Jack Hughes in the same sentence. We got a couple of. I laugh so much at these people that get so worked up over the All-Star game.
We got game.
Yeah, who got snubbed?
Right. Who's right? This was bad. Why did this guy go in?
Yeah, and it's an exhibition game, guys. Jack is there. I got an email from our buddy. Hang on one second. Let me pull this up here. If I can find it. Tim Wood, our buddy Tim Wood, sent us another email. And this is what he's saying. Hello, gentlemen. We need our podcast heroes to get our boy Jesper Bratt into the All-Star game. As a member of the Olds, he calls us all the Olds,
that's true.
I thought it would be helpful to rally the rest of the Olds to dust off the scary box in the corner of the room, pop the AOL CD in, and get our guy in the game. Tell Mom not to pick up, though. Okay, back to the gelato stand at the Quaker Bridge Mall for me. I have some goalie thoughts that are coming. Let's go, Devils. Okay, so Jack is in, barring injury. What other devil? You have one other spot, let's say, for a devil to go in. Who do you put in? He wants Bratt, understandably. I think there's really only two guys, but
I'm going to say Nico. Believe it or not, yeah.
If I was going
to, but I'd love to see the Foley.
But it's an all-star game, like Nico is a great two-way player. He is got amazing talent.
For our team, he's an all-star, though.
Oh no, I go. But the all-star game is all about scoring. Like it's all about scoring. It's all about silliness, and I think Brad has the better, stick skills and will make the prettier shots with greater consistency than even Hischier. Even though Hischier is probably a million times more an asset in a playoff game, as we've seen so far, than maybe hopefully not a million.
Look,
what I'm saying.
If you can have a line of Jack and Bratt and throw somebody else in the Metro, that's ridiculous. That's going to be at the game, Sydney, somebody. Yeah. I'd love to see Bratt playing with those kind of skilled guys on every single line. I would say if I was to go to NHL.com/All-Star game or whatever it is, I would definitely vote for Bratt. I'm on board on that. But Nico would be a close second. But I would love to see Jesper Bratt with, and hey, if it's a long-term injury, maybe it is Bratt who ends up going in.
He's perfect for an all-star game because as far as like we were talking about before, the book on the Devils has hit them and played, really tough on them.
Yeah.
If nobody is this more effective against than Jesper Bratt. And he won't see that at an all-star game.
Nope.
There'll be nobody, shadowing him, checking him, making his life miserable. And he'll have room to make some pretty ass goals.
And we know what this team, just with the roster we have, what they do 3-on-3. Like, just for Bratt with that kind of open ice would just be amazing to watch. But again, let's knock on wood here that nothing serious for Jack, and hopefully he's back tomorrow. If not, hopefully he's back on Thursday against the.
What about
the
throwing? Is it crazy to say that I would love to see Luke Hughes or even Simone Nemec at the All-Star game?
No, not Luke.
You don't think so?
I think no. I don't think it's crazy to say Luke.
Not.
No,
Yeah.
and I think there will be a time because Quinn's already in and Jack is in. It would kind of be cool.
The NHL is actually going to want to get them all in. To be honest with you, if you let the NHL pick this, they would make sure the brothers are all out, against each other on the ice. There, they would probably push for Luke going in with his brother.
No,
I think
be
the
there
next 2 years
enough.
you'll see it. I think the next 2, it could even be next year, but I think in the next 2 you're going to see that.
Yeah, he'll be there soon enough. I mean, he's amazing. But yeah, I mean, Vancouver tomorrow night. Let's hope that we can, figure out this back-to-back bullshit of losing the second game, because this week is so big for this team. It really is. The games and the teams they have to play. You're going to have Vancouver, who's top in their division. You're going to have Tampa, who's a perennial pain in the ass.
Right.
And then you're going to have Florida, which, I mean, you don't talk about a team that brings the physicality. That's Florida.
Let's see if they show up with the grit against Florida. That's a test, right?
And then we go back up to Boston to end this thing. So the next 4 games are going to be very telling for this team. And if they can pull off, 6 out of 8 in the next 4 and firmly get themselves into that top 3 and start, maybe not look back. I think you got to beat one of those teams. You got to win either the Boston or the Florida game. You have
show that
to
you're
win
a
one of them.
serious team, right?
Yeah, you have to win one of
And
them.
you want to
if
beat
do
Boston after what happened last time.
Absolutely.
Then you want to beat Florida for what happened every time we play them.
You want to get Florida in one piece.
Yeah, I mean, who knows at this friggin' rate, we might be seeing the Utica Comets as our, team going into the playoffs with the injuries, but,
when are we going to see these fucking stadium jerseys? I mean, I'm looking every day. It's like, you would think they would be done for Christmas. That didn't happen. I mean,
didn't they miss a sales opportunity to market these before the Christmas season?
I would have
thought they knew this was coming up all year.
I bought one of those Utica ones. I got one.
Oh, you did?
One of those Utica ones. Yeah, I haven't got it yet, but when I get it, I'll show it to you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, those are sharp, man.
Black and reds.
Those are really sharp. But anything else you guys want to touch on tonight?
That's it, man.
Last day of football for me tomorrow. Good riddance.
Same here, buddy. Same. Well, Sunday, I have Sunday, but you guys play tomorrow?
Sunday, I mean,
Sunday, yeah. Oh, it's tomorrow to you.
For me, it is tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't even I don't even follow anything anymore on the football. I'm just 100% in on the Devils now.
I'm just kind of I know tomorrow's probably the last time. Well, first of all, Jacobs won't even play, so he's done as a Raider. That's it for him.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Jesus Christ, we got 2 guys. He'll be gone, and obviously Garoppolo. We won't see again. Adams, I think, will be gone, and Hunter Renfro's done with them. You won't see him again either. So there's going to be a lot of change going on.
Yeah. As far as I go, I really hope that the Vikings don't make a huge mistake and win on Sunday. I want them to lose. Exactly. I want to get a top 10 pick.
Thank you.
And then I want him. If we can get our hands on Michael Penix Jr., that's the quarterback I want. And this team, and I'll leave it at this, and we'll stop talking about football because Stan's here, and I don't want to bore him.
I love it. Enjoy it.
But
congrats to the winners.
If the Vikings don't, with this draft position that they have, go and get their future quarterback, I might be done with this team. I seriously might. You've never done it.
I've heard these threats before. You have been done with
I've been saying them for about 40 years.
Chris, what do you think about all this rigging stuff that everyone's talking about? The NFL, all the games are rigged. I keep on seeing tons of this shit.
It's all conspiracy theory bullshit.
And you know what? As a Raider fan, what have the Raiders done to agree to rig every season to be a complete fucking disappointment? There's no way that grown men are going to do I'm sure there's some shady shit in anything, but I keep on hearing more and more this year. I guess that Cowboys game was a big deal the other night with some of the calls.
Reporting the offensive lineman as an eligible receiver, I get that. It was a mistake on the referee's part, but I also lay some blame at Dan Campbell's feet for sending 3 guys in to kind of confuse the Cowboys. No, you just confused the refs. And here's the other thing. You took the penalty, right? You're back 5 yards. Now you're going for a 2-point conversion on your 7-yard line instead of kicking the extra point, tying the game, going into overtime. Sorry, dude. You made bad fucking calls, okay? Yes, the referees screwed that up, but they screwed it up because you tried to get too cute. So I have big issues with that. I don't think it's fixed. I don't think there's anything, nefarious going on. I think people are fucking idiots.
It's rigged. Everything's rigged.
Yeah, exactly.
2024.
Stop the
This is the
steal.
world we live in. Everything's rigged.
What's that guy's
If it doesn't
name?
go your way, it's rigged. I get like the idea of biases. You can have biases against your team. I think all Devils fans feel like
Yes.
to some extent it's kind of always been the refs are against us. And I think if you measure the way we feel with a little bit more justification than some other teams out there. I can't imagine that Toronto fans really believe that the refs are out to get them.
I
Come
think
on.
they do. I think every fan believes that
maybe
their
a little
team.
bit.
I talk to buddies who like all different kinds of sports, and they're just every Sunday. I'll talk to my buddies. They'll be like, "Man, you can believe we got fucked this week." And we're all saying that to each other. We all,
Yeah.
The
So
truth
is it rigged?
is the sport rigged? I mean, we've had individuals who are trying to make money on the side, but it is not like wholesale WWE scripted rigged. No, sorry,
No.
it is not.
No, and like I said, people are just stupid, and they're gonna, it's only rigged if their team loses. Then it's the best officiating in the world if it helps their team. But
Right. Their team could not be stopped. It didn't
Right.
matter. I thought the refs could change this at any time. So
exactly,
yeah.
And you look at the teams that do good and stuff. The teams, especially this year, like if it's rigged, like the NFL would have the Cowboys in the Super Bowl every single year. They'd have the
Right.
Steelers in the Super Bowl every year. They're not going to have,
Why was Buffalo there 4 times?
Right, right, because the huge football hotbed of Western New York,
Why? Yeah.
as opposed to the Giants or the Jets
Jim
or
Kelly land.
Yeah, it's no, it's not fixed. People are dumb, except our listeners. They're extremely smart,
You guys are the best.
awesome people,
Both of
awesome
you.
human beings all
Yep.
around. If you were all here right now, I give you a giant hug, but you're not, so I won't. And so we're going to wrap it up. We are going to be back tomorrow. Most likely Bobby will be joining us tomorrow because he said
Yay.
he's getting nailed with some snow, so he's not going to some concert or something. And it's time to go when Dan has completely fallen out of frame
Yeah.
and he has
Hold
slid
on.
so
There he
far down. Oh, there he is.
So far relaxed.
I thought I was doing a podcast with Jimi Hendrix. That's all I see is the poster behind you.
Jimi Hendrix in there. I look at this.
But-
Most of the time when I do this, I don't even look at the computer. Or if I do, I'm not even necessarily looking at our page.
We have a
Fair
page.
enough.
So I have no idea. That's why I'm off
Our
camera.
page. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to us. Wherever you are checking us out, give us a positive comment, 5-star review, a like, a download, a subscription on the YouTube channel. Goes a very long way to help us promote the Uncle Puckers podcast. And I guess that's about it for Tony and Dan. I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers. We'll see you when we see you.
Bye-bye. I miss Bobby.
Always miss Bobby.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!